My name is Alan Freed, and we're in Alexandria, Virginia. It's June 8th, 2014, and I've been requested by the National Railroad Historical Society for their oral history project. They've asked me to interview my father, who had a long and varied career on the railroad. So we're here together, and Sunday afternoon, and so I'm just going to get started and go talk to my dad a little bit in an informal way about his life and his history on the railroad.
I went to work with, I think it was July of '52 with the Atlantic Coast Line.
So where was the office in the station?
It was opposite about track 9 or 10. The station master was at 15 and 16. So, and we were just opposite there.
Down toward the post office on that
Toward
side
the
of the
post office area, yeah. So in our office there, we had representation for the Pennsylvania, C&O, B&O, Southern, Seaboard, and Coastline. We had individual assigned there.
So each guy had his own desk?
Each person had their own desk. And out in the, we call the lobby of it, we had a young lady, well, not a young lady, but a lady who had worked for terminal for years. Her name was Marie Hunt. She was the receptionist or the concierge or whatever you might want to call her. And when people would come in and want information or about a particular railroad, she would direct them to that individual sitting back at his desk. And she worked there for a long time. So it was right there that our desk was, Seaboard and Coastline was the first two desks as they walked in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what was your, what did you do? What was part of the job? What was the...
Well, of course, the part of the job there was we had to meet the trains when they came in from New York, going south. And we had diagrams, what we call diagrams, of the individuals who had signed up and had reserved seats or Pullman accommodations. We had those diagrams, and we had to meet the train and give those to the Pullman conductor or to the man in charge of the actual coach part. So we gave them the diagrams. Then in addition, we had to be in the meeting the train. You had special attentions that you would have to go in and meet these people and you know, thank them for whatever, being on the train, or if could you be of any help to them. It was just casual, but we did it. And then we had, at that particular place, the railroad put on magazines in the lounge cars. So we were responsible also for making sure that they were up to date for the forward trips.
And then people would connect, I guess, to your trains, right?
Well, you'd get people connecting like from Pittsburgh or Chicago or Detroit. They were connecting, and they would come down and they would come into your office. And some of them had reservations, some of them didn't. And then you would have to make sure that they were well taken care of. I met a lot of fine people that way. I think that's one of the things that I felt was helpful to me, is I liked people, and I was able to meet and talk with them and make them feel at ease when they came in. I remember there was a vice president from Goodyear Tower, I think it was, came down and he couldn't get a reservation. And I remember saying that, well, don't worry about it. I said, I'll get you on if I have to put you in the diesel. Mm. Well, he wrote a letter to the president saying how nice I was, and that he was going to put me in the diesel, and the president wrote back, he said, I don't think you better put him in the diesel. So anyway, it was that was Champ Davis at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a nice guy. You liked him, didn't you?
I liked Champ. He was very nice. He was an elderly man. He walked with a cane. My first run-in with him was basically on the platform. He was coming from New York. I guess they'd had a directors meeting up there, and he got off the train and he saw me there, and he says to me, I'm going upstairs to get a newspaper. Don't let the train leave without me. I said, yes, sir. So I went to Robbie, he was assistant station master. I said, Robbie, don't let this train leave until I tell you. And I explained to him why. He said, don't worry about it, Jack. He said, we'll take care of that. Well, there's no problem. But in connection with Champ Davis, my boss at the time told me, he said, Jack, if he asks you a question, if you know the answer, tell him. If you don't know the answer, tell him you don't know, because he knows the answer before he asks you. So I got to be pretty good friends with him, because he would go for his vacations. He would go up to Detroit, to Kellogg. Further, he would go in there for rest. I met him when I was in Chicago. Well, I met him while I was in Washington, of course. Mm-hmm. Nice fella. Everybody scared to death of him. But his only thought was that I'm going to make this railroad the best railroad in the country. And he did. He would ride up and down the railroad sitting on his office car, and if he felt a bump on the tracks, he would throw a red flag out. So the next day, somebody was out there trying to fix whatever was problem. No, he was good. He put all the money into the railroad, which the stockholders didn't like too well, I guess. Well, I can understand that too.
Thanks a lot, Pop.